All right. Hello, Sean Perry. Tell people out there the plot and vibe of your movie, Dash.
Sure. So Dash is a one-take feature film focusing on a rideshare driver who is trying to hide his double life. And through the course of the film, we get to kind of see him try to keep that secret to the grave. And like we say, he digs his own grave plenty of times and plenty deep. But the whole vibe is, we try to make it more realistic but comedically tense, I guess you could say. So yeah, you don't want to turn away, but you also don't want to watch. It's one of those kind of films. It's very tense, or so I hope.
hmm that's crazy. I feel like an idiot, or maybe the filmmaking was seamless because I didn't realize it was one take until you just told me.
No, that's great. Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's fantastic. But yes, one true take.
I mean, yeah, it's all from the front of his cab. From the I guess you call it the dash window. What do you say?
Correct. I mean, like a dash cam in reverse. Like yeah, you kind of see like a
Yeah.
security cam. Yeah, you could see the yeah one side of the car.
All right. So I like the journey of this movie and how these seemingly unconnected pieces come together in the end. So tell me about the jigsaw puzzle of putting that together as the writer director.
Sure. I think, that, doing it in a one take structure inherently brought up a whole different realm of challenges. And
Hmm.
I think I got to take my time and really have fun and play with the tropes of the one take genre, but also try to be creative and say, how do we engage an audience with taking place inside of one car and having no cuts? So it was just a lot of fun, but also very stressful at times, I guess you could say, to kind of just keep the audience engaged while, like I said, not cutting and not moving camera. But it was a challenge that I'm glad that we went through with.
And okay, did the movie Night on Earth influence Dash?
I have seen that, but a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
So no, I wish I could say yes, but I think this movie has a lot of different influences coming from all over the place. But I have seen that film, and but it was like I said so long ago that it not entirely. But I guess I probably should have watched it leading up to this production.
I started that movie, but I didn't finish it. And I remember a lot of it was like set it in a taxi, but it was different cities as well.
Hmm.
So but the whole like idea of just like being in a taxi all the time. And it was
Yeah,
like Jim
absolutely.
Jarmusch. You think coffee and cigarettes, but like his crazy taxi version.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of other movies, I got a light Nightcrawler and Drive vibe from this movie in terms of how LA is shot. So do you like those movies? Is that a fair comparison?
It's funny, yeah. I think for sure, like I mean, just I do enjoy both of those films.
Yeah.
And we tried like, and it's funny because especially with the score, I really wanted to go very
Mm.
synthy, and like maybe we should try to make our own mark. But we do love. I love those films personally,
Mhm.
but realistically, I mean, you got to see the frame. There wasn't much that we had that we could work with. It being one take, so we
Mm.
kind of found locations that were just fit the mood and vibe of the scene that we were going for, and kind of had to roll with it. But we did spend a lot of time trying to find those locations in within possibility.
I think it's just the inevitable comparison when you have a movie that's a lot of driving in LA at night. Those are the ones that like pop up.
Uh-huh, for sure. And I mean, especially, I mean, I just moved to Los Angeles when we shot this, so I didn't know Los Angeles that well. I
Oh,
definitely learned Hollywood a lot more when, shooting this. But
oh,
I mean, yeah, I knew nothing about Los Angeles. In the original draft, they were going to Santa Monica and Beverly Hills, and then we're like, oh no, there's not a chance in hell they can make it that far. So I definitely had to learn. I learned Los Angeles through making this film.
that's hysterical. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Western Pennsylvania, but I
Okay.
spent years in New York, and then over COVID, I moved out to Los Angeles.
Okay, okay. And what's I because I went to LA in 2019, but they tell
Mhm.
me LA is like a hellscape these days.
I can attest to that. Yes, absolutely. Especially when we first landed here, it was very, very because I mean, I lived all over New York. I saw the worst neighborhoods and the best neighborhoods in New York. But being out here was a different world. It was insanity. So like, it was definitely a culture shock, and that's coming from someone that lived in New York all over the place. Yes, still.
It's saying something. Okay.
Mm.
So tell me about the vibe you get when you shoot at night.
Oh, it's just so much fun. I think, from a cinematography perspective, it's like their worst nightmare, low light and trying to make sure that the subjects are lit well enough.
Mhm.
But something about Hollywood when the sun goes down, it turns into a different place. It really, really does. And we tried to capture that vibe as much as we could. And that's why the colors and the locations that we picked kind of were trying to signify that. But yeah, once the sun goes down, it's no longer mom and dad with the kid walking on Hollywood Boulevard taking pictures. That's a different world, and we really tried to capture it as best we could with the limited circumstances that we had.
Cool. So you've made this is your first feature, correct?
Yeah, you could say that. First official, real, actual attempt at making a feature film. Yeah,
Okay. And I saw you've made shorts though. You've made
correct. Yes,
like like the IMDb tells you like 7 or 8.
a lot. There was a
It's
lot.
probably
Yeah,
more. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
I was wondering though, are any of those available? And are or if they are or aren't, did any of them have a direct influence on Dash?
I mean, not necessarily directly, I guess
Right.
not, but I mean, those making those films, throughout the years, and I say this is my first feature, but I did make a feature film when I was 19, and it is so bad. It's probably the worst film ever made, but I did do that.
No.
And I think making all of those films kind of led up to this point of being able to tackle all of these different aspects of filmmaking. So
Mhm.
I think just, yeah, that passion and drive of playing all those different parts has definitely played a role in, making this film the way that we did.
Okay. And tell me about transitioning into a narrative filmmaking with your short film filmmaking experience. What did you find you were totally ready for, and what did you learn as a creator from this experience?
For sure, that's a good question. Actually, I think a lot of it, probably the biggest lesson that I learned is, especially because we rehearsed this project so much, is that we got to really hammer out every single beat, every single line, every single action that these actors took. And from a director and writer standpoint, it really allowed me and kind of forced me to deal with why are they doing what they're doing, and it should have, especially with our limited sets, like those actions and words should have a direct impact on the viewer or just to drive the story or plot forward. So it really got to help me find and play with the little things and fine tune those things to make for a grander overall picture that's a little bit more well connected.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm sure you got there were a lot of lessons though from this experience. Yeah.
For so many. Yes, yes, yes.
Aha. Cool. Nice. So I'm curious, as someone who is working on a script myself, how did you structure this writing it? Did you start writing full scenes? Do you outline and like fill in the blanks? Tell me about that.
For sure. I think, I mean, at least my process is I always tend to, I know the vibe. I can usually picture the character in my head. I can picture an opening scene, and then I kind of like it's like eating, the cake before it's finished. But like I like to kind of plan the ending as well, the
Mhm.
major plot points, and then fill in creatively how to get to those certain points, and make sure that they involve the story and not just the plot. And I think, yeah, just trying to be creative and subvert expectations of what you think the audience will think, and kind of just play them like an orchestra and like guide them through emotionally to get to those major pivotal points that you think should happen. And that's kind of how I approached this. Is I knew how it would start, how it would end, how do we get there, and let's have fun, with the whole journey.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I was talking to some script writers at TIFF
Hmm.
in September, and they were telling me crazy things. This one lady had a movie with Anna Kendrick, and she said like, "No, I never write like I don't outline anything. I just write the movie. It's like all figured out like from day one." And
I
then
think, yeah,
yeah,
that's tough, man. I think if you're writing a novel, go ahead and do that. But especially with film, I don't think there's any necessary hard set rules, but with film,
yeah.
I mean, you only have a few select, hours. So it has to be engaging and you have to move the story along. And unless you're a certain person that can have people sit in the theater for 4 hours, then you kind of have to have a structure. You really, really do.
Oh yeah. And then this other guy told me this city was crazy. He had a movie with Kate Beckinsale and Brian Cox. He says he starts with like the big scenes, just like the pivotal scenes. Then he bridges them together. It's 200 pages, and then he cuts it down to 100 pages.
That's kind of close to my, yeah, kind of close to my process too. Usually my first drafts are exceedingly long and just a very long read. But yeah, yeah, he's got a point. Just get it out on the page. I'm a firm believer of that because you meet so many writers that spend too much time structuring that never actually finish. So I think it's a good way to do like the vomit draft, kind of like that, and just get it all
Yeah,
out on the page and then trim away the fat.
interesting. And when you have a writing sesh, what's good? Like how many pages are you looking at?
Because Dash came out very quickly. I think it
Mm,
was done within three, like the first draft, which was not necessarily unreadable, but not close to being done. It came out within 3 or 4 days, and that's usually how
wow.
my process works. Is I have it structured so well and know the story in my head, so that when you
Mm.
get to the dialogue and the action slugs, it's that's the fun part. So just enjoy yourself and and get it done. But yeah, I mean everybody's different. Everybody has a different process.
Cool. And what do you turn off the Wi-Fi? You just like shut off the world? How do you avoid distractions?
I pour my cup of tea. I have my dog here next to me. He sits next to me, and I put on some good music, and I just go to town because at that point, like I said, it's already structured. Let's just
Ah,
have some fun. So I just get some good tea, hang out, and put some good tunes on. And usually I pick a score or soundtrack from a different film or a different composer that kind of fits
nice.
that vibe of the movie I'm going for, and that kind of just helps put me in the mood in in that world.
Nice, nice. Very helpful. Thank you for
Mm,
that.
of course, yeah.
So tell me about working with your actors and what do they bring and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, so like every actor is so different. So especially if you're only a writer, you kind of like you're used to only dealing with yourself. And I think dealing with actors, and especially with a project like this, because we did spend a month rehearsing leading up to this, the shoot, that we got to see how each one of them works differently, and to me that just opens up a whole new world of how they approach character, and that helps me with the writing process as well. Is it just helps with motivations of actions and words said. But these actors specifically, a lot of them were recommended by friends, or we did cast one via a casting process. But it's always so much fun to see how they always approach it differently and trying to take it all in, and just it's a lot of fun, especially this group of people that we had in this were just down to roll with the punches, and especially being COVID, I guess they were just so happy to be working, and I was too. So we had a blast working together. We really, really did.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Sean, thanks a lot for your time. Good luck with the release of this movie. And final question: what's your favorite thing about Dash? What's that thing that makes it magical?
Oh, I think if only the audience could knew going into the film that it was done in a one take structure, and just knowing how much stress and tension was behind the scenes, and just when he parks that car, I don't want to give anything away, but when he parks the car for the final time, and we let out a sigh of relief just as he does. And yeah, I hope they know and appreciate just how much went into producing a film like this, because it's odd. You got to be crazy to do something like this, I would think.
Okay, man. Well, thanks a lot for your time. Have a nice
Yeah,
night.
yeah. Thanks for having me. You too. Thank you.